it.
Let's
Like
go.
the smooth criminals in the building, man. What's going on? What's going on this beautiful Sunday
What it do?
evening, man? I got my man Daryl in the building. We got our special guest, undisputed world champ.
Hey, how you guys doing? A
Salute,
pleasure,
bro.
a pleasure, a privilege, and an honor to be on the Backyard Blitz once again, man. Always an honor to be a part of this show, brother.
Hey man, we love when you come on. We was hoping PSP was gonna come through, but he has some unfortunate house problems. So IRL always happens. It happens. We always respect it, man. We wish you the best of luck or whatever's going on. Prayers is always with you, man.
Yes,
But
sir. Yes, sir.
today, guys, we got some things we need to talk about.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
As we know, the draft just happened. A lot of things went down. Some historic things have gone down. Basically, when you looked at the draft first round, how no defensive player but like one came off the board in the first round was amazing to me. Just hands down amazing. But 6 quarterbacks went off the board. 6. That is historic to have 6 quarterbacks go off the board in the first round. 14 offensive players in the first round.
Yeah.
Crazy. Just back to back to back to back. It was the most craziest thing ever. We saw the quarterbacks going a little bit, and we were like, all right. We knew the first 3-4 was gonna go. It was like, all right, we understood those. You know, Caleb Williams, number 1 pick. We threw some curveballs. We didn't know if they would actually be curveballs, but it didn't happen. So it's cool. The Commanders get Jaden Daniels.
Yes.
Pretty good. Great pick for them. The Pats go Drake May. That's interesting. I honestly thought they were going to go J.J. McCarthy, but they didn't. They went Drake May. The Vikings get J.J. McCarthy. The Denver Broncos get Bo Nix. Now, real quick, I don't know if everybody else saw this. Champ, let me know if you felt this when you saw it. Were you confused with Bo Nix's face? Like he was sad that he's going to Denver?
I mean, I wouldn't blame him because the thing is, this is new ownership in Denver. You got the owners of Walmart. And if you know, and I don't mean to throw any shade on any organization, but remember when David Glass owned the Kansas City Royals? I mean, your track record is not good when it comes to those big time owners from Walmart owning a sports organization, because David Glass did not. It was at one point the entire league, their league minimum was at least $48 million as far as salary cap was concerned, and the Kansas City Royals was around 28 million. Yeah. So that just goes to show you that nobody's putting money in the product. You're only trying to look up into a championship and look up into winning. But I digress. Hey, and you're going into an organization that you just saw a Hall of Fame quarterback get himself dogged out by a coach who was essentially a tyrant at a certain point. I mean, what did they expect? For him to be happy about it? Because if you will gouge your superstar like that, the superstar quarterback that you paid millions of dollars in order to get, what are you going to do to me? I'm just a rookie. How are you going to gauge me? How are you going to match strength and wits with me? Is it going to be a battle of wills every time I make a mistake? Because I'm a rookie quarterback. I am a rookie. Guess what? And this veteran was on the verge of a playoff berth. Yeah. Right there on the verge of a playoff berth. And, you know, it just was unfortunate the way things turned out. And it wasn't any fault of his own that they didn't make it. Hey, they chose to bench him rather than go into the playoffs, and they ended up, in their mind, with the 11th overall pick in order to get a Bo Nix at that point in time. And so, can you blame them? No, but does that show a lack of commitment to winning? Yes. You know, the most sacred part of the game is you play to win the game. In the great words of Herm Edwards and the great words of the GOAT Michael Jordan. So, yeah.
So that was pretty crazy. But I think the craziest thing of all, and I know I wanted to see your face when it happened. But
Champ,
as
tell us
Daryl
what
knows,
happened.
I was sitting here, we were looking up at the TVs, we were like, ain't no way. Ain't no way Atlanta just did this. How? Don't get me wrong. I think, in my opinion, I think he is one of the top 3 quarterbacks in this draft. Michael Penix Jr. to Atlanta for their first pick, even though you had so many other options that he might have fallen. Then again, he may not have been there. Ain't no telling. The way the draft went, like after the first round, not many quarterbacks were getting picked.
Mm-hmm.
But he could have still fell. Like everybody after you, except for maybe Vegas. The only team that I would be worried about was Vegas. But at the same time, you have $100 million quarterback.
Hey,
Well,
look, before
go
Champ,
ahead.
before you go on, I just want you to know. So during the show, we all were just chilling when the Falcons pick came in, and we were like just on the phones. As soon as they announced Penix, we all stopped what we was doing, looked at the camera, looked at the TV, and was like, "What in the hell just happened?"
Well, I'm going to say a few things. Number one, did I like the pick initially? No. Do I still like the pick? No. But I will say this in defense of the organization that I cheer for. If you add context to this, it's a lot to behold. Right now, that $100 million contract is essentially a 2-year deal. Everything is pretty much front loaded. And that 100 million, like I said, $180 million is pretty much a front loaded deal that's, guaranteed over the course of the first couple years. Now, after those first 2 years, they can cut him on June 1st, 2026 and save $32 million over the cap. So although I feel like that they should have went with either Dallas Turner or, one of the great pass rushers or one of the elite corners to pair with AJ Terrell, I understand the logic because of this. You don't know what you're going to get next year in that quarterback draft. And with Kirk Cousins at the helm, hopefully, you're not going to suck bad enough in order to get a number 8 pick again. So I think what the Atlanta Falcons are looking at is like this. Hey, we're not going to suck that bad this year with Kirk Cousins at the helm and with all these moves we made on the offense and the defensive side of the ball in order to get a number 8 pick again next year. And plus, we don't know what we're going to get next year in the quarterback draft or in 2026. Granted, you have a lot of quarterbacks coming out next year. Shedeur Sanders probably arguably being the number 1 prospect next year. Quentin Ewers, Carson Beck, just to name a few. But the way they're probably looking at it is we're not going to suck that bad in order to get one of those quarterbacks. We're going to more than likely win the division. Kirk Cousins is going to give us 2 good years. But then after that, we're going to segue into the Michael Penix Jr. era. And we're going to be able to still save below the cap space at this point in time and then go after some free agents during that time. It remains to be seen who the free agents are going to be during that time. So I understand the logic as far as the future is concerned. People laughed at Green Bay when they drafted Jordan Love during that time when Aaron Rodgers got drafted, when Aaron Rodgers was still kind of at his peak. But the thing is,
I think that's a different conversation because look, Aaron Rodgers was already there. It was kind of looking like it was in the end of his time coming up. Then they drafted Love. Like the dude was already on the team. It wasn't like that year he came back to the team. You just dropped a big contract on him. He was in the midst of a contract. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't, in my opinion, yes, I don't agree. I'm with you. I don't like their pick, but I do understand that it was not for now, it's for the future.
Yes.
You have your quarterback who you think is going to be that guy. You give him 2 years to, 2, maybe 3 years to build himself behind Kirk Cousins. And then after this team is built around it, then you let him take over and let him flourish. I get that part. It was just, it didn't at the time, at the time things happen. We looking at next year. We looking at this year coming up. how does this team get better? This is what we use the draft for to get better for this year. You just got a quarterback. It was confusing, but I'm with you. Yeah, I didn't know how the contract was loaded, but thank you. I appreciate you. You let us all know that hey, the contract's front loaded. So the first 2 years is where his money is going to be made. And yet the June 1st cut, it could make sense. And if it does happen, kudos to the front office in Atlanta for making that work for them and not against them.
Well, you got to think about this. Kirk Cousins, we don't know if he's going to be back fully. And that's another thing I think that they were thinking about. Like I said, would I have still taken Dallas Turner at this point in order to shore up that defense? Absolutely. Would because there were rumors about the Los Angeles Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders asked trading up in order to try to get Michael Penix Jr. There were rumors about everyone being interested in trading up to that number 8 pick. So they damn well could have got a haul for the number 8 overall pick. And I was like, okay, let's do it. That'll build the team even faster than what we're doing it now. And if you would have drafted a Spencer Rattler maybe in the 4th or the 5th round, that would have still set you up for success even after Kirk Cousins was done. Like I stated, I understand the move for the future, but as a Falcons fan, we have not made the playoffs since 2017. It's been almost 7 long years, and that was the year after 28-3. So when you take into consideration all of that, when you think about 28-3, and then the next year we go to Philadelphia, we get beat by the eventual Super Bowl champions in the Philadelphia Eagles. Then the next few years, you're drafting players, you're drafting wide receivers, mainly Calvin Ridley, he gets suspended. You go through a period of time where you really don't have a running game at a certain point. I mean, you are going really through it. There's really no big free agent you can go after due to being in cap hell with the Matt Ryan contract and the Julio Jones contract. There was a period of time there that has really been tenuous the last 7 to 8 years. And what my sentiment was, as well as a lot of Atlanta Falcons fans' sentiment was, we have to go ahead and go big. You already got this $100 million quarterback that is proven that he can make the playoffs, not necessarily do a lot in the playoffs, but has proven he can make it to the playoff and lead the team to the playoffs, led the Washington Commanders to the playoffs, led the Minnesota Vikings to the playoffs with Justin Jefferson and company. I think that they were thinking, okay, we're going to go all in and make sure that this year we can go far. And we're not going to think about anything. We'll cross that quarterback bridge when we come to it. But to be honest with you, they got it right at the end of the day in the long haul. It's just like I stated, it was more so this year what people were thinking about as far as, having a pass rusher, because we ranked almost dead last in the league in sacks last year, ranked almost dead last. And for you to not have any way to put pressure on the quarterback, and you have a good defensive backfield and Jesse Bates, AJ Terrell, just to name a few, is a recipe for disaster. I mean, the cornerback can't cover them all day long. So they got it right in the long term. Hopefully, Michael Penix Jr. holds up as far as his health is concerned. Hopefully, Kirk Cousins holds up as far as his health is concerned, because I've been on record on the Sports PSP podcast, Shout out to Sports PSP, saying that, hey, you essentially have the hospital room as your quarterback room at this point, because both of them have a bad history of injury. Kirk Cousins with the Achilles, not to mention, Michael Penix Jr. with the clavicle, with the shoulder injury, with the 2 ACL injuries. Last year was his first fully healthy season, mind you. So that's something I was thinking about as well. But if he can stay fully healthy and give us a few magical years and get us to at least an NFC championship, if not a Super Bowl, that will prove Terry Fontenot to be right and Raheem Morris and Mr. Blank to be right at this certain point. But at this point in time, what we were thinking about, as well as what we were thinking about as Atlanta Falcons fans, we were thinking about, hey, let's go all in right now. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm with you. So let me get some questions out here real quick. Because I was thinking about a whole bunch of stuff. So which team had the most productive draft, in your opinion?
The Los Angeles Chargers. I mean, you draft Joe Alt, which we all know, and shout out to Coach Harbaugh. He hit it right on the money. Offensive line, they talk about the quarterback position, but offensive line is one of the most important positions in football. That's the only position where it's not depicted on anyone else to be good but yourself. And you make the entire team better when you have a great offensive line. You take a Joe Alt who has only allowed 2 sacks in the last year. 2 sacks. You only allowed 2 sacks in over 1,000 snaps. So that was a good one. Going out and getting a Lad McConkey, who is one of the best slot receivers in the SEC at this point in time, two-time national champion with the Georgia Bulldogs. People talk about Brock Bowers, but he was a main part of that passing attack with Carson Beck and Stetson Bennett at a certain point. Not only that, stealing a Brennan Rice, son of the GOAT Jerry Rice, in the later round. He's going to be a great wide receiver in that offense. And not only that, getting that running back from Troy, who rushed for over 1,600 yards last season, to go along with J.K. Dobbins, who we all know can't stay healthy to a certain point in time. So for them to grab those 4 key players in order to put them over the top is going to be good. Not to mention, you got to wonder how good Quentin Williams is going to be. Is he going to improve? And you got to think about what's going to happen with that team as far as how they're going to make Justin Herbert better. And I think they did a hell of a job by getting him not only protection to go along with Rashawn Slater, getting a Joe Alt, but to get him great receivers or great value in the later rounds. I mean, the minute Terry McConkey came off, I thought they was going to steal him in the 3rd or 4th, but the minute they got him in the 2nd, I was like, oh yeah, they're really trying to make sure that they get him. He could essentially be the Justin Herbert, what Julian Edelman and Wes Welker was to Tom Brady, man. And with the Los Angeles Chargers having a better coach at this point in time, which they have not had since the great Marty Schottenheimer, rest in peace, they are going to do some big things in that division. Now, they're not going to win a division as long as Patrick Mahomes is in their division. But if there's anyone who can come close to getting you, if there's anybody that's a coach that has proven that he can out-coach other great coaches, it is Jim Harbaugh.
I believe I like it. I mean, I'm gonna tell you this. So while we was watching this is my personal reaction. I don't know if you guys watch this, but we're watching, and the Chargers is up, and I'm screaming. This is where Malik Neighbors goes. Because it's a perfect fit. Shut your behind up. And it killed me because they went Joe Alt. I'm not mad that they went Joe Alt. Joe Alt is a tremendous player. But I was like, I do not need to deal with the Giants and their terrible quarterback with good receivers. I was upset. But they went that way. It is what it is. I was super shocked that happened. But for me, I feel like, in my personal opinion, I think that the Arizona Cardinals did a tremendous job in this draft. Starting it off with arguably the best receiver, Marvin Harrison Jr. Tremendous. I'm looking at Larry Fitzgerald Jr. at this point. The dude is consistent. He can get off the ball. He's got great hands. He's super strong. And he sets up his routes really well. And it's probably because his dad is Marvin Harrison. He trained so long. But he is so good. And then they ended up going to get a defensive end to help the defense out, and a corner with Darius Robinson and Max Melton. And then they grab a running back. And a tremendously talented running back at that, with Trey Benson from Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
They looking to move, whether it's with Kyler Murray or without. This team is looking more solid now, and they're a gritty team. They have so many different aspects that grabbing getting their receiver. They got an offensive tackle. They got a couple edge rushers and safeties. They are looking to move forward and try to become, if not number one, but at least the second team in that division.
I don't even think it's possible for them to be the second team in that division, because there is a team in that division that had a better draft than they did. And they go by the name of the Los Angeles Rams. They did one hell of a job in the draft, if you really, really look at it. Because the thing is, and if you really look at it, they went and got Blake Corum to go along with Kyron Williams. Can you imagine a 1-2 punch that is going to bring in that running game? Now, we all know that the running game for them has been a good door, but a revolving door. Remember, they haven't missed at that position. Remember, they had Todd Gurley, Cam Akers, then turned around and got Kyron Williams. Now you put a Blake Corum, who is the Thunder, to Kyron Williams Lightning at this point. Not to mention, Puka Nacua is just had a bang out year in his rookie year. And, Cooper Kupp's still there. Not to mention, they went and got that defensive end and the defensive tackle from Florida State to try to replace Aaron Donald, which you cannot do at a certain point. You cannot replace an Aaron Donald, but I digress. So the thing is about that, you have to ask yourself, hey, not to mention, man, the San Francisco 49ers, they have 11 offensive starters returning next year, and they drafted that great wide receiver out of Florida at this point in time. Not to mention, they went and got Tyrese Owens, who is the son of the great Terrell Owens as well. And if you know the 49ers like I do, they do not miss at the wide receiver position, starting all the way back to the great Brett Jones, and just to name a few, Freddie Solomon, just to name a few. So you got to ask yourself, are you even going to be the third best team in that division at a certain point? 49ers, they've been to the Super Bowl 2 to 3 times within the last 3 years. Hey, Sean McVay rebuilt that team with late round picks. And you have to ask yourself, how committed is Kyler Murray going to be to this process?
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think it's going to be, when I look at Arizona, like I said, Kyler Murray can be there or he can't be there. He is going to hinder the team if he's not playing well.
Mm-hmm.
But if he gets injured again, now you have to add another quarterback, bringing somebody back that probably shouldn't have left in the first place. I'm not gonna say any names. But you say something, Daryl?
No, I was just saying, yeah, because we already know that they should have never made that trade with the Vikings at quarterback in mid-season. That's what I was talking about. We already know they should have never made that move. So if Kyler Murray,
okay,
if Kyler Murray does get hurt, then it's kind of going to be like, dang, we really, shot ourselves in the foot with this.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, because if you look at Atlanta's the perfect example. They got a quarterback in the draft, but they had already built a semi-good team around beforehand. So adding a quarterback in the free agency only helped them look better because now you have a more consistent player behind center. Building your team and then getting the right quarterback to fit in there is great. I mean, it's great to get a quarterback before, but then you have to try to fit people into that system around him. And that's a little harder if you already have a system and then you find a guy who can run your system how you need it run. Like it's a different fit. And I think Arizona is working that way. It's trying to build a team for a quarterback, whether it's going to be Kyler Murray or someone else. But they're already starting a great foundation with some of the guys that they have before and after this draft. It looks tremendously great. You're right. They probably are going to be third best. It all depends on where the Rams go. If their defense is still solid, I think they would be second. But I think with the absence of Aaron Donald, the best, arguably the best defensive tackle we have ever seen. I know in my lifetime I've never seen somebody this good.
The only person that I will really say he doesn't get a lot of credit because back then defensive tackles wasn't really a glamour position. The only person I could say that was just as dominant and was just as undersized was John Randall from the Minnesota Vikings. Most tackles by a defensive tackle in the NFL history with 137 sacks. And and the only difference between him is he had a guy that people I don't think Aaron Donald ever had another guy, another Hall of Famer another Hall of Fame pass rusher with him that was going to take the attention off of him, other than, let's say, Sue. But, Sue was at the end of the road.
J.J. Watt. He had J.J. Watt, but that was at the end of his career.
So, but I will say this, I've never seen another Hall of Fame. At least John Randall had Chris Dolman during his time in Minnesota. Aaron Donald, it took a village in order to block it. And the only person who came close to that was John Randall. I don't think John Randall, a lot of old school hate, I would say, because, we're in a social media age. Everybody only wants to acknowledge football and basketball all the way back to the year 2000 and nothing before that. But John Randall was definitely one of those guys, man. He was one of those dudes. And let's not forget the great Warren Sapp, Carl Eller, those guys who really set the tone.
When I saw Warren Sapp was kind of towards the end. Like I saw him when he was in Tampa, but then he like a year later after I think it was like championship, and then like another year he was with Tampa, and then he went to Oakland to Oakland. Yeah. That's when I saw Warren Sapp, and I was like, oh. But seeing him in Tampa was great. Like I thought he was tremendous as well. Mm-hmm. Real quick, PSP man, appreciate you for stopping through. Like and subscribe to the pod, please, and thank you. Hope all is well. Shout out to Champ and the Columbus G. That man be putting that every time, dog.
Hey, in PSP's defense, I say that every time I go on his show. Shout out to Columbus, Georgia. And that's how I introduce my show too. Reporting live from the greatest city in America, Columbus, Georgia. So I'm going to say that constantly. So
I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. I've been there. It's not the greatest. Don't get me wrong.
I'm from here. So I'm going to be just like someone from New York City is going to say, well, New York's the best city in America. I'm going to be biased because I'm from.
Because it is.
You know what I mean? So I'm going to be
You're not even from New York, Daryl. Stop it.
So
I just have to say that to start something.
Oklahoma. Stop that.
I just have to start something.
Terrible.
But man, I'm always gonna say that. Shout out to PSP, man. He lets me say that every time I'm on his show, man. It's a great time. But man.
Thank you for stopping through, PSP. True to King. Salute, True to King. Appreciate you, my boy. Hollywood Herm. Thank you for coming through, man. It's the first time we seeing you, but appreciate the love that you're showing us, man. We really appreciate you. So Daryl, who do you got? Who do you think was the best? Had the best productive draft?
Oh, as painful as for me to say this, and because they're in our division, but I gotta say the Commanders had a good draft. I mean, they go get their quarterback, Jaden Daniels, and with Sweat getting traded to Chicago, they decide to go and they get Jazon Newton. I forgot where he's from, but he's a defensive tackle. They also pick up a corner to Mike Sandersill. I don't know how you say that, but they need help in the cornerback section, especially because their corners really weren't that good this past season. Kendall Fuller didn't have a good year.
No, indeed not.
Yeah, so they needed help there. They went out, got a tight end, Ben Sitton. They did try and get some help on the offensive line, which I think they're probably going to have to do next draft too. And then, of course, they got Luke McCaffrey, Christian McCaffrey's brother.
Mm-hmm.
They got an edge in Javonte Jean-Baptiste. and think it was their round 5. They got a safety, Dominique Hampton, and linebacker Jordan McGahee. So they had a pretty decent looking draft as far as like covering the pieces that they needed to. Now, I know for Commanders fans, they're saying this is our year. I'm not jumping that and saying that they're going to be a force in the division to be reckoned with, because at the end of the day, you still got to play games no matter who had the best draft. But I will say their team has improved. Now it comes down to, is Dan Quinn going to be using these pieces that they drafted? Is he going to work with this team to get them to the level they need to be in playoff contention with all the moves that have been made this offseason?
I'm gonna say no, but that's
Yes.
me.
Trust me. I don't want to see
I'm gonna be a
I
hater
don't want
forever on that one because that
I
man was supposed to come back and do some things. He didn't want to do some things. So that's fine. Um,
I'm forever. I like I said, I don't like saying that I'm supporting the Commanders and saying how they drafted well, but they did. As bottom line.
I mean, when it comes to this of our podcast, we know that we are biased towards our teams. And with that being said, I have to ask, who do y'all feel has got the worst production in this draft?
Uh, as far I won't say in the draft, but as far as off season goes, people are not gonna want to say it, but I think that they did a good job in the draft. But as far as this off season goes, I think Jaguars. I don't
Yeah.
think they. I don't think they were aggressive enough. They did draft Eric Armstead. They did get Eric Armstead from the San Francisco 49ers. It's just a question of how much he has left. And was he a merchant of that great pass rush situation that they had out there? Josh Allen is still pretty good, but it's just a question of if he was playing at his optimum and this is the best that we're ever going to see him, or if he was playing for a contract. We know there's a big hell of a difference between playing at your maximum and playing for a contract. And a lot of guys, especially on that defensive side of the ball, they do play for contracts. And if you don't believe that, ask Ray Edwards when he came to the Atlanta Falcons. He went from a double-digit sack guy to quick. So I have to say the Jacksonville Jaguars as far as the offseason. Now, as far as the draft, they did do a hell of a job of going to get Brian Thomas from LSU. Because you're not going to
Yep.
see a better route runner than that, especially in the slant, the go routes and the hitch routes that he's able to run. Not to mention the screen routes he's able to run. So that'll definitely open up a lot for him as we speak right now. But as far as overall, they have not been aggressive at all. So, hey, it's going to be interesting to see what they do in that division, consider how aggressive those other teams have been.
What you got? Daryl?
As far as the draft, that like, not seeing much moves that I was like impressed with or that was like quiet, I probably would go and say like, you know, Seattle. I feel like Seattle this draft, they really didn't get the pieces that they were looking to get. And it was I felt like they kind of just settled for what was open availability. Cause I mean, we see they got receivers, we see that they got a quarterback, but you know, defensively, there's a lot of stuff that they got to cover, and it just felt like they were just saying, "Well, we didn't get the guy we want, so we're just going to go ahead and take somebody else off the board." And when you do a draft like that, it's very hard to like make your team better. And I know Seattle's looking for that, Legion of Boom 2.0, but I just don't think they had the guys that can do that for them from this draft.
I feel you. I feel you. Well, since y'all didn't want to say it, I'm gonna say it.
Let's hear it.
I am disappointed in my Cowboys.
Oh, I want you to say it. That's why I didn't say it.
Okay,
Really?
I am disappointed. Now, don't get me wrong. I thought they had a productive draft. They still missed on some players that were on the board for us, and they didn't pull the trigger. And I was like, come on, man. You could have made another move. You could have moved back again. I mean, I gave them the grace of the first when they moved back the first time, and they got Tyler Guyton, who is I watched some of his tape. He is tremendous, but he also played on the right side. Now, I get it, right side, Oklahoma. He was playing on that quarterback's blind side. So is he good playing on the blind side? Probably great, but now we got to transition to the left side to play next to Tyler Smith, and then they went into the third round and got Cooper Beebe, which I was super happy about. Because if they didn't get him, they better got Tanner Bonalini, but Tanner Bonalini went to another team. I was crying, but it's fine. They got a tremendous edge rusher in Marshawn Nealon, which I think they're going to probably put him inside. And play him as a defensive tackle to add an extra pass rush to that defense to go alongside DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons. So you can't just focus on either one of them. So I thought that was good. They brought in they got another linebacker to help that linebacker room out, which is great because say again.
The kid from Notre Dame, right?
Yes. I watched some of his tape. Both the linebackers from Notre Dame are tremendous. I was actually super shocked. They played well, they moved well, they didn't get lost in the shuffle. And when they saw that ball, they were beelines. That was tremendous. They went in the fifth round and got a corner, which I personally didn't think we need, but we didn't bring back Stephon Gilmore. So, yes, probably need to add somebody there. Adding a receiver was what I wanted to do in the fourth round, but we didn't have a fourth round pick. Could have did that in the third round. Didn't do that either. But they did get Ryan Florney. I don't know who that person is, but I will be doing some research on him from Southeast Missouri State. I will be doing my research on him this week to see what he is about. But I think their idea is that Jalen Tolbert is going to take that step and be the number two behind or number 2 or 3 behind Brandon Cooks and CeeDee Lamb. But as you know, contract issues between CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott seem to be non-going.
So I have to ask you this, and I hate to put you on the spot, but I have to ask you this. Is this a do or die year for the combination of Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott? And if they don't win, at least go to an NFC championship this year, is this their last year there?
For Mike McCarthy, yeah. I think this is literally a do or die for him. Dak, it may be so because if you have another MVP caliber season like he had last year, I don't see Jerry doing stupid stuff and saying, "Oh, well, I'm just going to trade this MVP caliber player somewhere else," because you just did this 2 years in a row with the numbers that you're putting up since you've been here, since you took over for Tony Romo. They haven't been stellar except for last year, but they haven't been the worst. Your QBR is tremendous. You're better than half of the quarterbacks in the league. Why would I get rid of you and try to start over? And then if I start over, I have to now convince CeeDee Lamb, hey, we're starting over. Will you stay with me? I don't have a quarterback to throw me the ball. You're going to give me a rookie who's going to be flustered, or you're going to get an older quarterback who isn't going to sling the ball like we need to sling the ball. It's going to hurt. I don't think he'll stay. And then you have to now convince Micah Parsons to, hey, can you still hold down the defense for us? until we get the right quarterback here. That's too many. There's too many. I need you to do this, and not me giving you this to help you.
Okay, I
So
can see that.
it's I don't think it's going to be Dax last year unless something catastrophic, him throwing multiple interceptions and throwing more interceptions than touchdowns. That now it may end up being that he has a high number of interceptions this year because we don't have a running game. They didn't get a running back in this draft, and I was screaming, and I saw him go off the board, and I told Darryl, I was like, Jalen Wright, that's my dude right there. They didn't go get him. God, he was falling and falling and falling, and I'm like, we can't get him. Can we get one running back? Somebody.
They didn't even get Corum, and that's who I thought y'all would have went.
Yeah,
for.
that's what I thought they were gonna get.
I was not thinking that. I told you off bat we're not getting Corum because Corum is small. We already have a Corum on the team. Why do I need another one?
I mean, in fairness to Blake Corum, he's proven that he can run in one of the most bruising divisions of football. In the Big Ten, and he led that division to touchdowns.
I have no doubt that he's good, but I already have a small running back in Deuce Vaughn who we don't even use.
And that's the problem. You haven't used him. I mean, and you invested too much money in Tony Pollard, in my humble opinion. But that's neither here nor there. But I mean, Deuce Vaughn was like, you have to use him correctly, especially when you have to run it back of that size. He could very well, if you have him in a correct offensive system, Deuce Vaughn could be what Darren Sproles was to not only the Los Angeles Chargers, but to the New Orleans Saints. So
we talking about McCarthy, and he is we need to be a bruiser running team. If we're gonna run the ball, they need to be able to be solid, big, stout, running backs. But he's not used to having those gadget type running backs,
right.
So he don't use them.
Right.
Which makes even crazier sense how y'all should have been the first team to reach out to Derrick Henry, but that's another story for another time.
You're right. We'll go. Let's dive into that real quick. No, it's not another time. We'll dive into it right now. Jerry Jones, I hope you're watching. I pray to God, if you get an opportunity to see this, I want you to hear me. There is no such thing as going all in and doing nothing. It makes absolutely no sense. It's contradictory in itself. You're making moves with no moves being made. I'm confused. The whole nation is confused. What do you mean about all in? All in to win a championship? Because we know what all in to win a championship looks like. It's up there in Philly. They buying it out. I don't know where they're getting it from, but they buying them out.
Hey, don't forget about your old rivals, the San Francisco 49ers. I know you don't want to mention them, but
they're not buying them out. They drafting them out. They bringing draft after draft after draft picks.
Well, not only that, they went all in on Christian McCaffrey, which is a huge part of their running game at this point. They went all in. Hey, you got to remember they traded for Silverback Williams. He wasn't always there. He was in the Washington football team. You got to think that they made a trade. They made a lot of trades and was aggressive at trying to get Trey Lance, although it was a bad move looking back on it. And they made a huge gambling on Brock Purdy at this point, when you already had Jimmy Graham, who had already taken you to a Super Bowl. So a lot of big, and then, to top all of that off, you go and get Randy Gregory at a certain point, and then you turn right back around and get Chase Young in a via trade as well, who was was a mile factor in your playoff run, but not too big of a factor. But at least you're going all in to show the fans that, hey, this is what we're doing at this point in time. So, you can't forget about you can't forget about the San Francisco 49ers when it comes to going all in, because they have been every single year they have went back to back to back. They have literally been at least in the NFC Championship the last few years, and they have been going hard at it.
Yeah, I agree. But it's more of the division rivals that are sitting here, and they're the closest look. Like, yeah, we know the 49ers. they draft extremely well.
Mm-hmm.
Their organization has been very good at draft picks, from Jerry Rice to Terrell Owens, Steve Young. They're just tremendous. And Brock Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
if that don't tell you that they draft extremely well and it works through the draft, I don't know what else to tell you.
Well,
Now, yes,
you got to think about this, man. Two of their greatest quarterbacks was drafted in the 4th and the 5th round. I mean, Joe Montana was drafted in the 4th round. So, San Francisco's argument. I mean, Jeff Garcia, although he's not a Steve Young or a Joe Montana, he was an undrafted free agent. So,
don't forget about Alex Smith too.
Yeah, he was the first round. He was first overall.
He was.
He was first overall, but I mean, I know people don't like and not gonna like me saying this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Colin Kaepernick, 2nd round pick. A lot of the guys, were the second.
Why would nobody like that? Colin Kaepernick was tremendous.
Yes, he was, but political things or what have you. So I mean, you don't want to rock the boat. You don't want to open up a can of worms and pray for the rain and then have to deal with the mud on that situation, because people are going to try to say, well, he was a one-year wonder or whatever. But, he was tremendous for that time. I mean, he came out there, had one of the greatest playoff games you ever want to have, accounted for over almost 500 yards. So, I mean, yeah, they even did a hell of a job with him. So, I mean, for you to have that rich of a history at the quarterback position is nothing short of amazing, especially when, a lot of teams don't get one.
Yeah.
You might get one, for the Niners, I'll say the Colts, the Green Bay Packers, and the Los Angeles Chargers. For those 4 teams that have the rich quarterback history that they have, is nothing short of amazing.
True that. So let's get on that quarterback conversation, and let me ask, who do y'all feel is going to have the best year out of these rookie quarterbacks?
Out of these rookie quarterbacks?
Caleb Williams.
He has some pieces.
I mean, the thing is this. You're not going to know what to expect coming in. You can watch all the tape you want to, but you're not going to know what to expect. And this is arguably bad. Big ups to the Chicago Bears, because I've never seen them. Throughout my lifetime, I'm an old head. I'm just going to be real. I've always seen Chicago go in on defense. They've had some of the greatest defensive players that money could buy. But to see them go all in on offense at this point in time to deviate from what worked in the past to now transitioning towards what's working now. Because usually it will be Chicago, if you really think about it. It was always offensive line, running back, linebacker, safety.
Yep.
Defensive line.
Yeah.
For them to go all in on that offensive side of the ball, nothing short of amazing. Not only that, man, because you already had a great receiving core with DJ Moore and Keenan Allen and Kmet at the helm already. Then you go and add Romeo
Odunze, who we all thought was going to the Giants, but you know.
So
I never did think that. I just want to clarify that.
Then you go and get him. So you have set, and then you went and got DeAndre Swift, who was a 1,000 yards rusher and a Pro Bowler as well. So you go all in on that offensive side of the ball, and you put your rookie quarterback in arguably the best position since Peyton Manning when he came into the league with Marshall Faulk and Marvin Harrison at the helm. So you give him that ability in order to do something like that in a division where you need to be able to generate points. Because with Jordan Love and Jared Goff in that division, you're going to have to generate some points. And it's a big question of what J.J. McCartney is going to do out there with Justin Jefferson. So in that division, you're going to definitely have to be able to put up some points. And I think that, my too early pick for Rookie of the Year has to be Caleb Williams. You're set up perfectly for it. You're set up perfectly to at least have a 28 touchdown season. So that is my two. He's going to make the biggest impact. I don't really see Bo Nix doing anything this year. Neither J.J. McCartney. I don't think Michael Penix Jr. is going to play a lot this year. Drake May with that offensive line, kind of scared. So I would have to say Caleb Williams with those weapons. And let's not forget, man, although they did not go all in on defense, they still have the number one run defense in the league last year. Not to mention they added Montez Sweat last year. Shout out to PSP again because he put me on Montez Sweat. I wanted Atlanta to trade for Trace Young, and we almost had Montez Sweat, but Chicago came in and offered a second round pick. We offered a third, but I digress. So for you to add a Montez Sweat and re-sign Jalen Johnson, one of the greatest cornerbacks in this league at this point, for you to do all of that and to bring your team in order to set this young rookie up for success, hey, that's a short of amazing. Caleb Williams is my too early rookie of the year, especially at least on the offensive side of the ball.
I would say
I was gonna go ahead.
I'm really shocked to see if I could put in Spencer Ratliff in this one.
Come again?
There's no expectations for him to be good. Caleb is expected to take this team from here to here. With Spencer Ratliff, we're here. We're only expecting this to happen. We're not expecting anything to happen crazy. We don't even know if you're going to win the job. But I think he will win the job because
that quarterback room is a mess.
Huh?
That quarterback room in New Orleans is a mess.
Okay. I think he wins that job hands down. And I think it because he is a better quarterback than everybody in that room.
Yeah.
But there's no expectations, which is great when you don't expect something and then he goes above and beyond that.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be in the conversation. But yeah, Caleb Williams, he has the weapons to succeed. There should be no reason that he doesn't. But you're at a point where you're saying this rookie quarterback is supposed to take us into the playoffs. We were close to making playoffs last year. He pushes us over the top.
Yeah. Hey.
You know who I got?
Who you got, big dog?
JJ McCarthy. I truly believe that in Minnesota, he's got the pieces over there, and yes, he's going to be in division where you got a defense like Detroit, and you got Chicago, who is arguably going to be the favorite now in the division with Caleb Williams there, and you got Green Bay as well with Jordan Love and how they're doing. But I think JJ McCarthy with this offense, with having Justin Jefferson, Hawkins, was it the tight end? Was it Hawkinson?
Yeah.
Hawkinson, yeah.
Yeah. Addison, you have all these guys playing here, and you know what? I think he has the preparation. He's been under a good, NFL head coach that was at Michigan with Harbaugh. He has and knows what it takes to be a winner, and I think he can do stuff on that field that's going to make those players respect him. And we're going to probably see Justin Jefferson even want to stay if they start winning games. So I think he's the best, in my opinion, that's going to come out this year.
I like it. I know why we didn't say Jaden Daniels. I understand it. He's in a gritty division.
Yeah.
And as we know, nobody has gone back-to-back division champs in this division at all. But we know the two teams that are at the top. We know who number 3 is. And technically 3 and 4 can change depending on how quarterback play is.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
we know the top 2, they're gonna be there. They still gonna make runs.
I mean, here's the thing. The only way we can go and say that Washington will be number 3 is, if they actually come out aggressive like they say they're going to and actually play hard throughout the season. Basically, because we know Dan Quinn, what he did in Dallas with that defense, he made y'all defense so scary that I hated playing y'all. I hated seeing Daniel Jones on the field against y'all defense.
And it's coming back.
Yeah, and it's going to be coming in It's going, but we're going to be seeing it in Washington, where you're going to see that defense come out aggressively. But you got to understand with Washington,
He ain't got the same talent over there. You don't have a Micah Parsons right there. You don't have you don't have a Stephon Diggs and Deron Bland who came out of nowhere right there.
I mean, you got Payne. You still got Payne there.
Payne ain't done nothing. Don't get me wrong. Roll Tide all day. I get it, but Payne ain't been that dude. He ain't as dominant as Micah Parsons is.
But sometimes you just need a coach, and we've all played sports. Sometimes you just need a coach that can just spark a fire that trusts you and has confidence in you to where you can play your hardest. And then that's usually where your best results come. You could be the most mediocre player, but because you got a team or a head coach that trusts you, that makes you play 10 times better, and it's going to make you play harder. So who knows? We could see with the Dan Quinn effect what's going to happen in Washington. I truly believe they'll still be the 4th team, but I mean,
did Atlanta get the Dan Quinn effect?
Went to a Super Bowl win. First year.
I don't know why you brought that up. That's not a good look.
Hey, going to a Super Bowl is going to a Super Bowl.
I mean, you did. Yeah. And we all thought you was going to win it.
Yeah. But the thing is, the year before we was doing real bad. We had come to the end with our head coach and Mike Smith. So brought in Dan Quinn. Less than a year later, we had that 8-8 season with him and Kyle Shanahan. Then less than a year later, we was in the Super Bowl. Then not only that, made it to the playoffs. Then that team finally cycled. For you to do that in your second year as the head coach, and then not only that, you turn Vic Beasley, who was who outside of that year was a bust. You turn Vic Beasley into a 15 sack guy, all pro and Pro Bowl guy. You turn him into that. I mean, anything is possible.
Which is why I said the same thing about Payne. So let me ask. So
we'll see.
So let me ask y'all this. So, which player out of all the players y'all have drafted, who's the favorite that y'all are excited to watch this season?
Out of who? Off our team or just in general?
Off your team.
Obviously, I ain't got no sexy picks, so I ain't watching nobody.
Honestly, outside of Michael Penix Jr., which he's not going to play for a couple of years, I am anxious to see what Brian Trice is going to do from the University of Washington. And I'm anxious to see what the defensive tackle that we got out of Clemson is going to do to go along on the inside, and put him along on the inside with Grady Jarrett. I'm anxious to see what those two guys are going to do. Now, also, we did draft, let me go to my notes real quick. We did draft Zion Logue from University of Georgia. He's a good defensive tackle as well. Not to mention Jace McClendon from the University of Alabama. So, I mean, anything can happen. Anything can happen. I'm going to love to see what these draft picks outside of Penix does this year. I mean, from what I've gathered, I can't even pronounce his name correctly, but the defensive tackle from Clemson is a very, very good defensive tackle. So that's going to be a good thing to see how he can learn from the great Grady Jarrett, how he can add to that pass rush, which was mediocre last year. Not to mention, it's going to be interesting to say the least. I mean, plus, Jace McClendon it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what he does as well, especially if he can provide some adequate power running to an already loaded running back room with Tyler Aguilar and Bijan Robinson. Me personally, I think that he's pretty much a contingency plan just in case somebody gets hurt, because I think they're going to start giving Bijan Robinson the majority of the carries at this point in time. They need to, and start giving Tyler Aguilar the time in the red zone. But that's another story for another day. Give Bijan, 300 carries, see what he can do, and take some pressure off of Kirk Cousins at this point in time, or Penix, depending on who plays this year.
So I'm gonna say, yeah, I know I have no sexy picks here. I want to see what this receiver does if he can make a push for the third spot, because you're not getting Brandon Cooks off the field. You're not going to get CeeDee Lamb off the field unless CeeDee Lamb just doesn't play or doesn't show up for anything. But I want to see what our 6th-round receiver, if he gets in the game, if he actually does some stuff. Our linebacker, who's probably going to start for us actually, 3rd round, Maurice Lufua. I want to see him. I know what I'm gonna get from. I know I'm gonna have growing pains with Tyler Guyton, but Marshawn Nealon, I want to see if he can generate that pass rush on the opposite side of Parsons to give them something else to look at, because when Parsons is one-on-one, he's unstoppable.
He's at his best when he's untouched, and they need to put him in places where he's untouched.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I agree on that.
I mean, but him getting one-on-ones are easier than him dealing with double teams every time, and that's because of the fact that you don't get a bunch of stuff from DeMarcus Lawrence. He's so every other game. He's what I call the Jason Tatum.
That's being mean.
Not my fault. Jason Tatum. Let me be nice. Jason Tatum has been doing crazy this playoffs. He ain't been so. He's been doing what he's supposed to be doing. But at the same time, that team is really, really good. And Miami does not have their best players. So,
yeah.
But Jason Tatum is Mr. 50-50 for me. And so is Marcus. He's been 50-50.
He's kept it real. He has. I can confess and say that he's actually said that on multiple occasions. So
multiple. If you don't believe me, go ahead and ask Casual, boy. That's Mr. 50-50. Mr. 50-50. Don't do your thing.
As soon as he says 50-50, I already know who he's talking about.
So
shout out to Casual, by the way, man.
That's my dude, dog. But yeah,
I'm gonna go ahead.
Go ahead, Dale.
I was gonna say for the Giants, I'm gonna go and say Tyler Nubin, cornerback from Minnesota. That's who I'm excited to see, because this past season, we only had Deontay Banks as really our only effective cornerback. It's nothing against uh our other defensive pieces like Jason Pinnock and Jackson, but it's just we needed another dog on the other side. And to me, especially, I felt like that's our second one that we can put on the opposite side. And to also, what?
Quick question: are y'all putting him at, because he was drafted as a free safety, man? Are y'all putting him at corner?
Well, they say he can play both, but he might. But I don't know. They might end up putting him at. They might put him at safety only because we drafted another corner who primarily was a corner, but I'm excited to see Newman, and plus Nick Saban even said so himself that he was the overall his favorite at that position in this draft class. So to hear that from Saban, that made me confident, and we made that right pick. And
That's
looking at
because
his highlights tape,
Arnold makes mistakes.
huh?
As I kept saying. As I said, Terrion Arnold makes mistakes. He's too aggressive when he doesn't need to be aggressive.
Yeah. And I saw where you when you mentioned that. I watched this tape and I saw it.
Yeah. So I mean, not that he's not a great or good corner. It's that he gets too aggressive unnecessarily, and he makes bad choices. He gets too handsy at the top of the route. Even though Nick Saban is one of the best defensive minded coaches that I've ever that we've probably ever seen out of college,
Mm-hmm.
and his defenses have been just tremendous year in and year out.
Mm-hmm.
But especially at the corner position, it's crazy. But I did have a question for you, Daryl. Did I
What's
have a
up?
question? So I remember we were having this conversation when we were doing our draft, our mock
Mm-hmm.
drafts, and
Mm-hmm.
you were like, "Hey, man, we don't need no tight end. We have three of them on the roster."
Hey, look.
I was so confused when I looked down the list and they picked up a tight end. I was like, "Wait, don't y'all have three of them on the roster?"
You know
What?
what?
You talking about the Giants?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Well, Darren
I'm gonna tell you where this is coming from. So yes, I did say that. I will say it with my whole chest. I did say that, and I'm actually happy we made the move at first. Like I kept saying we don't need a tight end, but then after a while, I just started getting annoyed with the whole Darren Waller situation. Like, bruh, are you going to retire or are you going to play? And at this point, if you don't know what you're going to do, then we might as well move on and find somebody else. And Theo Johnson, who to me was the second best tight end out this draft class, I was actually surprised out of anything that we were the team to pick him up.
That's a fact. That's a fact. He is the second best. He is a tremendous hands catching tight end. He's probably I think he's faster than Brock Bowers, and his
He's
routes are more crispy. But like I said, Brock Bowers is the new age Jason Witten. I don't know if anybody felt like that, but that's how I felt watching Brock Bowers.
I mean the thing with like Theo Johnson is like if you notice like as far as like our tight end room, like we've had Darren Waller. Darren Waller is not a big tight end. He can you can put him on the outside, and that's the same that you can do with Theo Johnson. So that I think that was our whole purpose of getting him because had we not got him, it would we would have been in a situation where if Darren Waller retires, now we stuck with Daniel Bellinger, who who's mainly been like a blocking tight end for us, or we've put him in fullback and Lawrence Cager, which Lawrence Cager barely gets playing time. So I'm not mad at this situation. Let's just keep it a buck.
Yeah. I mean, plus, like I say, I believe Darren Wall is a little bit distracted at this point in time. But I mean, but that's neither here nor there. But I'm not so for certain what he's going to do at this point. I'm really not for certain about what he's going to do. So that was a good thing that y'all did by going to draft another tight end. I mean, the minute somebody started contemplating retirement, then it's time to start looking elsewhere.
Yeah,
Right,
guaranteed.
because we can't have this situation where we're, you know, every week it's like, hey, I'm seeing news updates saying Darren Waller hasn't officially announced he's retiring yet. And then it's like, okay, we gotta move on. The next following week, Darren Waller still undecided yet. And it's like, bro, we're what almost it's almost about to be May. So we're what, 4 almost 5 months away from the regular season and we're coming close to, training time and OTAs, and he don't know what he want to do yet. But if this is a time for us to win, like I know Coach Dayball and Joe Shane want to do, then it's like at this point y'all got to make the move and be like, look, Darren, we trying to move on. We can't keep sitting here and babying, hoping that you say you'll want to stay. We got to move on and get this team better. And if that means we gotta go with the younger guys, then you know what? So be it. We may just have to go and release you and move so we can move on.
Okay. Okay. All right. So let me ask this then. Who are y'all excited to watch this season? Like,
Overall,
no, the back end of the NFL. What team are you excited to see and excited to see improve?
Houston.
They not in the back. No, I don't. No, they're not in the back. There ain't no way after that explosion last year that they're in the back of the NFL.
Well, hold on. Let me see real quick. The team that I'm excited to see improve is the Tennessee Titans.
I like that. I like that.
They made a lot
I
of
like
big
that one.
moves. Getting L'Jarius Sneed, I didn't really think they're going to get him at a certain point. Getting a L'Jarius Sneed, going out and just showing out as far as free agency is concerned, trying to get would have got Calvin Ridley to go along with DeAndre Hopkins at this point, giving Derrick Henry an opportunity to play for a winner, man, sitting him out with class, man, not just running him to death. But, I think Tennessee is going to do a lot of improvements. Now, do I think that they're going to be – I think they're still going to be the third or fourth best team in the division because they still have to deal with the Houston Texans and the Indianapolis Colts at this point. Yeah, but, I think they're going to do a lot of it. They've done a hell of a lot in order to improve.
Who you got, Daryl? Who you got?
I got
Mine's
the Cardinals.
You got the Cardinals. Okay.
Yeah, I got the Cardinals. Well, we like what you mentioned earlier with this draft, how well they did with this draft. Those
Yeah.
pieces, I feel like, are legitimate game-changing pieces for them, especially when you got Kyler Murray there. Now you got Marvin Harrison Jr., who was one of the top five receivers in this draft class. Well, I won't even say top five. I'll say top three receivers in this draft class. And so I'm all excited to see what the Cardinals do. And plus, I was excited, especially when, they beat the She-Eagles. So I got a little hype.
I'm with you. I'm gonna say this. I'm excited to see what Carolina do.
Yes.
I'm excited because first off, let's go ahead and let me go ahead and drop this nugget off. They drafted into the first round, the last pick of the first round, 32, to get the DJ Metcalf clone like Xavier Legette from South Carolina. The dude is monstrous, 6'2", built like a truck, and can run. Was that? What I think he ran? What 4.3?
Yeah.
The boy quick.
And not to mention that Southern charm.
That's Southern Strong right there.
That Southern charm, man. Well, he sound like he go hunt every Saturday.
Right?
Then you
say he sound like
you turn and you say, we gotta get a running game here too. So let's go ahead and get the best running back in this draft, Jonathan Brooks. A little bit of season on him, but the dude is monstrous. He can carry the load.
Yes, he can.
You add that, you get some linebackers to help this defense. You can get a linebacker out of Kentucky, Trayvon Wallace from Kentucky, talented. You get some corners. You get defense. Michael Barrett from Michigan. Now, if we don't know anything, Michigan had a solid team last year.
Man, what?
I think half their team just got drafted. Come on. You add a corner to help you solidify this defense. They cooking. They over here cooking. Bruh, they looking dangerous. And if the Bryce Young that I know shows up, that division gonna look real scary for you.
People underestimate the NFC South because we don't have the Super Bowl pedigree that a lot of other divisions have. I mean, we don't have the Super Bowl pedigree like the NFC West with the St. Louis, with the Rams and the 49ers. You know, they have a Super Bowl pedigree. You look at the NFC East, they have a Super Bowl pedigree. If you really look at it, man, at one point we had the best 3 quarterbacks money could buy. Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, Cam Newton.
Yep.
And if everything works out, it's going to look like that again. You know, so, hey, you just never know, man. You just never know, man. Hey, good. Hey, but I was looking at Carolina myself, man. You, especially with them, but especially with Miles Sanders being the bust that he was as a free agent acquisition, I'm so happy they went and got somebody to take the pressure off of Bryce Young this year, man. That was something special.
Oh yeah, that was tremendous. I enjoyed seeing when they pulled up and they were like, "Oh, we get this dude." That's a top talent right there. That's top talent.
Yeah, Jonathan Brooks. I mean, he should have went higher if you ask me, but you know, the year of the quarterback, a lot of these receivers that was in there, plus a lot. I understand you're not anxious to draft a running back at number 1 unless they're otherworldly at a certain point. I mean, and don't underestimate, man. They went and got Kinsley from BYU, the offensive tackle. So I mean, I'm looking at draft list right now. So I mean, and not only that, it's going to be interesting to see how Dante Jackson is going to work out down there. Remember, they traded for Dante Jackson from the Pittsburgh Steelers earlier in the year. So I mean, and they got it for cheap. To be honest with you, got it for a 6th, 7th round pick. So they've been very, very aggressive.
They're looking amazing. I'm excited. I'm excited for NFL to come back and do their thing. Don't get me wrong. I like the UFL. They doing their thing. They giving me that time in between. But
man, the DC Defenders are garbage this year.
Yeah, they are. But the Birmingham Stallions is riding, boy.
Don't even act like that. When you was all last year on the DC Defender side,
Birmingham wasn't a part of that last year. Try again.
Oh. You're right. Okay. I'll give you that one.
It was the XFL.
You're right. I give you that. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy though? They say Xavier Legette. They're like, if you close your eyes, he sounds like a character off of Waterboy.
Bruh, the dude so country. Him and Randy Moss.
I was just about to say that. We've seen this before, man. Randy.
Bruh. They sound so country. It's bad, bruh. Like,
and not only him, I know this is a football podcast, but Tony Gwynn, the late great Tony Gwynn, man, that was hey, shout out to the late great Tony Gwynn, man. You know, it just always used to sound like a NASCAR driver rather than a baseball player.
Going right in, what day.
Yeah, well, you know, you got to think about how everything is going to go. This football, this basketball, this baseball game. We got the Braves coming into town this week, and you know, there's just no telling how things are going to work out. Shout out to the great Tony Gwynn, man. Hell of a.
The fact that Randy Moss was living in Minnesota and he still sound that way is crazy.
No, for real.
If you really look at it, man, you can't stop the Southern charm, man.
It's wild.
I mean, it sells itself. I mean, it sells itself, man. People, I mean, look, man, look at Shannon Sharp right now, man. Look at Shannon Sharp right now, man. So, I mean, hey, look at if you want to know how far Southern charm can get you, look at Muhammad Ali. Look at Charles Barkley. Look at Bo Jackson.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I mean, look, I'm gonna tell you something. Charles Barkley can say something, and if anybody else would say that, we would be so offended by what he said. But because it's Charles Barkley, you know, that Southern drawl and him saying it the way he does it, I mean, we just laugh at it. I mean, it's just crazy. But you know, like I said,
he's saying the most off the wall stuff, man.
Huh?
He say the most off the wall stuff.
That's the point of him saying it. To get a rise out of you. I mean,
it killed me because now they the problem is that they be like, oh, that's an Alabama thing. No, it's not. That's Tim. Don't put us all in his category.
So you saying we don't? You from down south? You saying we don't roast no more? That what you saying? You ain't never had one of the roaster sessions at the lunch table. Come on now.
I have, but we ain't doing all that. Hey, the way he be saying, it's out of character sometimes. I be like, yo, what is you talking about? And then you look at Shaq. Shaq being the most intelligent person on that panel sometimes be like, why would you? That didn't even sound. What did you say?
Like I said, man, but Southern Charm sells itself. Randy Moss, I mean, if he would have had certain things together, he would have been a lot more. I mean, look at Frank Thomas. Fresh out of Columbus, Georgia, by the way. You know what I'm saying? Look at Frank Thomas and how he was able to market himself in a city like Chicago, arguably one of the greatest players in Chicago history. I mean, Southern Charm sells itself, man. Southern Charm and Southern Belle sell themselves, man. And if you don't know what a Southern Belle is, look it up. So, I mean,
Daryl don't need to worry about that right now. Daryl don't need to worry about that right now.
I mean, hey man,
hey.
You don't need to worry about that right now. That's some dangerous things down there. You ain't ready for that.
Hey, Southern Charm and Southern Belle sell themselves. Three things that will always sell down south: Southern Charm, football, and you know what else? We're not gonna get into the specifics. Certain foods are gonna sell themselves always down south. So I mean, it's unavoidable. So
that catfish in the bed, let go. Get that catfish, let's go.
Yeah. Now, they talk about off subject, man. They talk about barbecues during the summer, man. Ain't nothing like a good hellified fish fry, especially when you got the grease in that little in that big ass bale right there, and they lower it into the grease like so, man, it's nothing like it, man. It's crazy. I cannot wait till the summer to go to that first fish fry, man.
That's why I'm trying to get back home.
Yeah, go to that first
another year up here. Yeah, try to get back home.
And we all got that one uncle who built different, man. You gonna go right over there with the piece. Hey, man.
Hey, what you got over there? Hey,
you gonna go right over there with a piece of bread. Hey, man, let me get that out there grease real quick.
I mean, you got the hot sauce. I got I got the hot sauce now. Come on.
And reach his head. Hey, man, I saw one of my uncles, man. God bless him, man. I'm over here talking to one of my uncles. He frying the fish in there. He literally reached his hand in that grease and grabbed that damn fish. I said, you built different.
I'd be sitting there like, man, my hand hurt now. Your hand
hurt? I gave him that look like, did you just really just reach your hand in that hot ass grease? and reach out and got it. Because you know fish grease hot. You know, there's a reason why we say hot as fish grease. But I remember one of my uncles reached his hand in that grease and grabbed that fish out of there. Let me grab this up out of there. We're here bare hand, what no gloves on.
Nope. You ain't gonna see me doing none of that foolishness. That's foolishness.
You ain't gonna see me doing none of that. I love fish. I love a lot. I love the fact that the good Lord put catfish on this world, but Stefan is not reaching his hand in any Stefan is not reaching his hand in anything. I had to use my real name on that. Stefan is not reaching his hand in any grease in order to get any catfish out. No, indeed not.
So on the topic, so we got it. I gotta do a start bench cut today because I got you here.
Talk about it.
We're gonna do two separate ones. One's gonna be fun. All right, so we're gonna do a wide receiver, draft wide receiver, start bench cut. Marvin Harrison Jr., Romeo Anduza, and Malik Neighbors.
Okay. Look, not gonna even lie. I'm going with Maserati Marv. I got to go with him because the thing is, after CJ Stroud, he still excelled. And with the other two guys, they had the benefit of having a great quarterback there. One in Michael Penix Jr., the other in Heisman Trophy winner Jaden Daniels. And, you know, Marvin Harrison Jr. was built. They called him Maserati Marv for a reason. And I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. If he had not gotten knocked out of that game, when the Bulldogs played Ohio State, we lost that game. We lost that game because he was out there. He was burning Rambo like a piece of toast on Sunday. So, I mean, I got to go Maserati. I'm going to start him. I'm going to bench Malik Neighbors. Malik was spectacular.
Yeah.
And I'm going to, not only that, man, when you excelling at the wide receiver position down in the SEC, where, a lot of great cornerbacks are coming from, that's saying something. Especially when you're going up against Alabama and those cornerback fields, if you really want to be honest with you. And then I'm benching Rome, not because he wasn't good, but, that air raid system really provides you a lot of opportunities that, you're not going to get in certain systems at this point. But, I'm going to start Maserati Marv, benching Rome. I'm going to cut I'm starting Maserati Marv. I'm benching Malik Neighbors. I'm going to cut Rome, unfortunately. But, that's not to say he's not a bad football player. It's just like, yeah, Maserati didn't have the quarterback play that neither one of those guys had. So I got to give it up to them.
Who you got, Daryl?
Starting Giants' new number one receiver, Malik Neighbors. Since the Chargers didn't make that move, and I just got to bring that out since Rodney was pissed during when the Chargers got Joe Alt, but Neighbors gonna be number one. Marvin Harrison off the bench, and it's nothing against Rome Odunze, but I just feel like Harrison Jr. and Neighbor are better than Rome, and plus they played in tougher conferences than he did. So Rome's going to be getting cut.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna let y'all know. Y'all sleeping on Rome, dog. You sleeping on Rome. I think I already sent you the video of Romeo Daryl. So you might want to go look at that again.
I looked at it, and I ain't changed my mind.
The only other player that gets off the line like him is Marvin Harrison Jr. That boy is quick. He makes tremendous catches in traffic. He's fast. Yes, the air raid system was amazing, but he can run any system. His route tree, his routes are crisp. But I hate to tell you this, my dog. I'm gonna start Marvin because Marvin is that dude. But I'm a bench Rome because I bring him off the bench, put him in the slot. You can't stop him. I can put him anywhere I need to. You're not stopping that dude. But I'm gonna go ahead and cut Malik. I don't think he's a bad one. But because he's working with the Giants now, he has to get cut. He's got to get cut.
The hate is
real.
It,
I finish it.
The hate is real.
You started, I finish it, my boy.
The hate is real.
Got to see it through. Got to see it.
Look, man. Look, I want our listeners to understand. Like, I don't know how many of y'all watched the live, but when the Chargers had that pick, I definitely said I think we all said it was going to be Neighbors. But once they said Joe Alt, the look on my face of happiness was so big because I knew we got Neighbors, and Rodney's face, like, I think he slammed his hand because he knew the Chargers should have took Neighbors.
Quarterback don't mean to interrupt. I always say this, man. It's good to have a good wide receiver, but I'll say this to this day. To this day, quarterback can't throw on his back.
Yeah.
So if it comes between a good offensive line and a great wide receiver every day, then I know it's not going to allow any sacks for the next 10 years. I'm taking that offensive line every time.
I'm not. I said I'm not upset at it because I understood that they need to make sure that the quarterback stays upright, stays on the field. But they just handed them a receiver. Now, with that being said, champ, you are correct. Your quarterback cannot throw from his back. which is what we still gonna see from the Giants. Anyway,
No. First of all, let's get something straight. Let's get something straight. This free agency, we made the right moves to get that O line straight. Joe Shane made the right moves, and I applaud him for what he did on getting that line straight because he known from past history that drafting O line in the first round, second round is actually not the best situation for you. We got lucky with Andrew Thomas. I think he's the only one from the first round that we ever drafted out of the past decade that has panned out to be, a star on the line. Evan Neal, Eric Flowers, them boys were hard garbage.
so what you're saying is that y'all don't draft well when it comes to offensive line.
I'm saying in those years, having Dave Gettleman as the GM was the worst thing that happened to this franchise. And he set us back for a long time, which Joe Shane is having to basically pick up all of that slack that he messed up from all those years. All that cap space he burned
I want
through.
you to admit it. Daryl, admit it. Y'all don't draft well offensive linemen. Just say it. Just say it.
No, I'm saying now we draft well. I'm saying in the past we didn't.
No, you don't draft offensive linemen well. I mean, there's teams that just draft offensive linemen very well. Dallas Cowboys, they just draft offensive linemen well. It's weird. I don't get it. Happens. Whatever.
Tampering.
What?
I'm
if
joking.
if you was gonna call tampering, you should have did that with the Eagles. You didn't get that done. Don't want to hear that.
Hey,
don't want to hear
you
that.
know what? Oh, trust me. We should have done it because we probably would have been able to get our hands on Cooper DeJean.
You still could have got Cooper DeJean because I think he didn't go to the third round.
Yeah, I know. But then the Commanders traded with the Eagles to get, which I've never heard of somebody from your own rival division doing that.
It's wild. It was crazy. It happened though. I don't know whatever the Commanders were thinking about. But maybe they were thinking, hey, well, eventually they're gonna have to pay somebody who's gonna ask for an enormous amount of money. For whatever reason, they're not asking for an enormous amount of money over there. Not sure why, not sure how, whatever. Possibility of a championship, yes, possibility. But if you guys suck, you suck. No money can buy you out of being that good. But one last start bench cut, champ. One last one.
I got you. Right.
So we're gonna do a fries edition, my dog. Fries. Got to love the fries. And you know we're gonna have to go with BK, McDonald's, and Checkers.
You know what? I'm gonna say this, man. I haven't eaten Checkers in a long time, man. I haven't eaten Checkers in a long time. But if you ever bring me some fries from there, they're getting consumed automatically. They're getting consumed. So I'm starting Checkers, man. Checkers, man, look here, man. You ever have a long night at the club and they open till like 1 at night? They open till like, wait a minute, they open till like 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
You want to get you go there, get you a big Buford. The sandwich is about this big anyway. Go get you a big Buford and a large fry, nice lemonade. You have a good night going on home. And you know why you need all that food, by the way. We don't need to get into that on this podcast.
Amen.
But the thing is, man, start those. I'm bitching Burger King's fries. McDonald's, hey, man, I haven't eaten McDonald's I don't know how long, man. But for some reason, to me, they've always been overrated for me personally. Kind of overrated. If you ask me, they're not even top 3, if you want me. For me, It's always been Arby's, Checkers, and then, the little mom and pop spots, with the letters on the menu. So, I mean, they're not even top 5, but I digress, man. So, starting Checkers, Rallies, whatever you want to call it nowadays. Bench of Burger King. And I'm cutting McDonald's, man. I know they say America's favorite fries, but, they ain't, they're no longer that. I will tell you that much.
Who you got, Daryl? I'm assuming it's about the same, but
It's the same.
okay.
I really never been that type. I never was really that hyped about McDonald's fries ever. So they were getting cut.
Yeah.
Because I mean, people who say McDonald's fries is the best just don't got good taste buds or just don't know how to cook.
Facts.
If you know how to cook, then you would know McDonald's fries ain't that good.
They're either over salted or under salted.
The only way you can truly eat McDonald's fries is if you get them straight hot, like out when they're done cooking. After 5 minutes, they get soggy real quick.
I don't even say that. They can be hot. I just gotta have some ranch or something. They're just not great by themselves. They're not. Sorry.
No, indeed not.
Shoot, Checkers, you don't need no sauce. That got enough seasoning on it.
Just kill them mugs. Kill them mugs, man. Gotta love it. All right, guys. That's gonna be the show for today. That was tremendously fun. I always love when everybody's out here. We having fun. Champ, we appreciate you. We are so honored and blessed to have you on the show. Anytime you could get a chance to come on.
Hey, thank y'all for having me, bro. I really appreciate it. Always an honor and a privilege, man.
Yes. Next time we'll get PSP. We try to get PSP for a good couple months now.
Hey, man, PSP, man. Shout out to PSP, man. PSP been doing it big.
Yeah.
Over the course of the last. Hey, man, congratulations, PSP. If you're watching this, man, hey, your big homie wants to congratulate you on getting 1,500 followers and subscribers on YouTube, man. Hell of a job to PSP, man. And you,
good job.
But not only that, man, doing it big on Instagram, man. I mean, doing huge things, man. Hell of a job, PSP, man.
Facts.
Yeah,
you're doing everything right. You are the example for us all, and we just try to follow in your footsteps and continue growing our platforms together as a group and a community, man. We appreciate everything that you do. Everywhere you're our role model when we do our stuff, so we appreciate you. Well, real quick, want to just shout out to True the King, Hollywood Herm. Appreciate y'all coming through, showing some love. Big Daryl, got any last words, my dog?
Man, as always, get y'all sleep, stay fresh, stay clean. We've been doing this for a while. Me and Rodney, we just starting to come up. Champ, as always, as a guest, always thank you for coming through. Y'all check out Champ, his shows that he be on. This brother knows ball. I'm gonna tell you right now, this brother knows ball.
That man knows basketball, football, boxing, baseball. Man, that man is a world of knowledge.
Hey, shout out to my father on that situation. Shout out to my father, man. He taught me all this.
That's what's up, man. Champ, you got any last words, my dog?
Look, be safe, be careful, and man, look here, man. Remember this, man. I try to get motivation on these shows, but I have to in this case. Think before you do anything stupid, look over your shoulder. Before you do anything stupid, look over your shoulder because somebody's going to see it. So if you look over your shoulder, you see somebody staring at you, that's a clear-cut sign not to damn do it. Facts. And even if you look over your shoulder, you see someone not looking at you, look over your right and look over your left again because somebody's going to see it. Yep. So be careful about the decisions that you make because the thing is, that snap in end game signifies a lot of things. All it takes is that quick. So be careful about what you do, people. Just especially the young guys out there, man. Especially the young guys, man. Y'all are the future. That's not to say we're the past as the old heads. We still got a lot to learn, but y'all are our future. We need y'all to be here for the future. So be careful about every single thing that you do. So got to say that. I would be remiss if I didn't say that, man. Been seeing a lot of young guys get in trouble down here in my city, and a lot of things go on down here in this city. But I would be remiss if I didn't say that, man. Be careful, because you have stuff at your fingertips right now that even 10 years ago we didn't have. You can attest to this, Rodney. Even 10 years ago we didn't have. There's so many ways to make thousands, even millions. So, and man, don't blow that opportunity because of an outburst. It ain't worth it.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. All right, guys. Thank you. Please like, subscribe to the show, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Man, we are everywhere trying to blow up slowly but surely. We're not trying to do it quick, but we're just trying to branch out. Share with your friends, man. We appreciate you. We love you. We'll see y'all next time.
Peace.